Okay, so it is 6:10, so the people that are late are going to be late, and we'll just start moving. Okay, so I think everybody here, we got 3 new people? Is there 3 new people here? New people? Just so you know, very simplified thing. So I've been doing technology since '96. I remember exactly when I started in technology because that's when I shipped off to basic training. So basically, been doing tech for about 30 years. Started doing tech education back in 2009 on YouTube. Basically, I have 1.1 million subscribers on YouTube. And the idea is, so in 2009, I was sitting in a master's degree program. I had just had a business. I had 9 full-time employees. I had my own building. Everything was going great until the Great Recession happened. Spoiler alert, macro always wins. Macro forces you can't fight. But anyways, I wound up being in a master's degree program. I was a month into it when I realized that if any of my employees had known the information that I was being taught, I would not have paid them 25 more cents an hour. At which point I was like, hey, what if somebody taught like what we actually get paid to do back in the day? So things like Linux and backup systems and disaster recovery, that wasn't information that was easy to find. So that's when I started doing videos, wound up doing videos on YouTube. And the interesting thing is, again, now with about 1.1 million subscribers, it's amazing how many people have been helped. And the idea is free to end user education, where people all around the world got educated. I got paid really well by advertisers, and everybody was happy. So 2009, everything goes online because that was new and cool. COVID happens. Literally everything goes online, and so the idea now is, what if we can bring that back into the real world? So the idea is, in 2009, I took my real world lessons and put that online, and after 16 years, the idea is, what if we take the online lessons and bring them into the real world? And so that's why with Silicon Dojo, it's authorityless, gatekeeperless, free to end user, hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell you want to do. Basically the idea, what if we just get a big ass classroom, I have a class, and whoever wants to show up gets to learn. Basically, that's the idea. We do get paid through crowdfunding, so we have a donor box link. You'll see that in different places. My viewers, this is on my YouTube channel. I don't know what the hell that is. And just so you know, they actually pay, like fan funding. Somebody already gave us 10 euros tonight. And anyways, 10 euros adds up, and that's how I get paid for doing this. Though I do not actually get paid a lot of money. Anyway, so that's what's kind of going on with this. Where is my... Just so you know, we do have the main website, silicondojo.com. So this is kind of like the hub for everything. So this will spin off and go to Meetup right now. We're using Meetup for the RSVP system, but I am going to start doing classes in Asheville. We're going to start doing classes in other places. So basically, this is the one place you can come to. You can see everything that's being offered. You click on the RSVP. Just make sure you know where the hell the class is, because it might be 3.5 hours away or more. Just keep that in mind. We also do, so with these in-person classes, I record them. That's why I have my little microphone here. If you miss a class, you can just watch the class here, so on and so forth. All of the material goes onto GitHub, so the workbooks, the code, all of that is there for you. We also have fireside chats. We're going to start doing more of these. These are real technology professionals that are actually really doing stuff, and so you can listen to them talk about the real world of technology. And then finally on here, we do have self-study programs, so some of these things like Introduction to Programming, Introduction to Python, Introduction to SQL, SQLite, all of that. These are self-study. You just sign up, you can learn, and go from there. So that is Silicon Dojo. There is the donor box link, which exists. I'm just telling everybody it happens to be there, so you know. Anyways, but that's one of the big things here is again, like, I do pay attention to the money for the profit loss statement, but beyond that, any resources we offer, I never look at the financials first. So once we start doing more like tutoring and more additional things, there will never be a point where I will look and go, oh, this person gave money, therefore they get service, and this person didn't. So I really do want this to be available for everybody. Let's see, beyond that, so we do have the other classes coming up. So basically every month, I'm trying to do 2 Wednesday classes, these classes. They are what they are. And then we're going to have a full day class. And so this is where it is truly hands-on. You do bring your computer and you do code so that you can start to really learn what we're doing here. Again, one of the important things everybody here I think knows a bit about technology, but one of the big problems we have in the technology world right now is everybody wants to learn through osmosis. Like, I'll sit here, no, I heard you, Eli. I know. And it's like, that's not how it works. until you've beat your head against the wall because you've missed one comma out of 500 lines of code. You don't know what it's like. So basically the idea is, especially with those, this is where we actually bring you into the real technology. So the class, the Saturday class on February 21st will be SQL. So that's a SQLite, but it's a relational database system. And then something called Bottle is a web app framework. And so with Python, what's really cool is you can actually build full-fledged web apps with Python. And this is going to show you some more components of how to do that in order to build AI applications. So those are there. Just so you all know, I'm sure you're all in the area. There is the All Things AI conference happening in March. I think it is 24th and 25th. It costs about $200 to get into it. Todd Lewis? Yeah, Todd, anyways, the person running it last night was saying they have more than enough scholarships. So if you cannot afford to pay $200 to go, they will allow you to get in for free. It is something you might want to take a look at. I will be doing a session there. So there's my plug. And yeah, I think that's about it. So any questions up until this point? Yeah, cool. Okay, so this is going to be a very exciting class. Let's get rid of this. Bye, YouTube people. I'm very excited about this class. So when I started doing these classes back in 2009, the entire point of the classes is making this business focused, right? So when I went to high school in the early 90s, I went through the vocational program called DECA, so actually entrepreneurship program in high school. And from that, when I started doing technology in the early 2000s, like we were 23 years old, 24 years old, like sitting in front of CEOs trying to explain servers to them. And so like the entire point of all my job was basically upsell or die, right? If you cannot explain to a CEO why they should write a $20,000 check, you're not going to get a $20,000 server. That's just how it is, right? And so that's how my entire career is. And again, almost all the ways that I do education, the entire point is what is the value that you can bring to the organization. If you cannot prove, or at least if you cannot convince them of an ROI, whether or not you can prove the ROI, they're not going to write the check. And if they don't write the check, you're not going to have a job. So what the hell is the point, right? So when I talk about web app development, I know how to sell web apps. We talk about servers, I know how to sell servers. We talk about networking, I know how to sell networking. I've been doing classes on artificial intelligence now for 3 years. I do these because you all think AI is cool, basically. It's clickbait. Basically, it's clickbait to teach you all SQL, to be honest with you. Almost all this AI stuff, I'm not saying it's not cool and fancy and amazing. I'm not sure what product I'd be selling my customer at the end of the day. And especially once you start talking about the money, like you start talking about $100,000 they have to write a check for, I'm not really sure what they're buying. The cool thing about what we're going to be doing tonight with Twilio and ElevenLabs is I could sell the shit out of this. Again, as I said before, I had 9 employees. Again, and my business was upsell or die. When we walked in and I had a 1-hour service call, 1 hour at $100 honestly didn't matter to me. It was almost losing money. The value of getting into a new customer for 1 hour is I would get in there and be like, have you thought about a server? Have you thought about a digital surveillance system? Have you thought about telephone system? Have you thought about websites? Have you thought about all these different things? And the real value was selling them $30 worth, or 30 hours worth of service. And the cool thing with this is honestly, as far as artificial intelligence goes, this is the first thing that I've really shown you folks where you can actually, I honestly believe you can make a lot of money doing this. Oh, Elaine, you're late. Hello.
We've got, okay, I was worried that I didn't have time to print them off, so thank
Oh,
you. Do you want these back at the end?
No. You all keep the paper. So keep the paper, leave me the 3-ring binder. I'm not in the 3-ring binder business. And so we got Elaine and your buddy. Who are you? Charles. Charles Smith?
Charles Smith.
Cool deal. All right. Yep. One of the big questions you always have to get to in life as an entrepreneur is what kind of business do you want to be in? And again, I just do not want to have to stock up on God knows how many 3-ring binders. So paper, all you, 3-ring binder, me. So anyways, the cool thing with this is basically it's AI agents. This is solid, this is reliable. I mean, you've got to configure it and test the ever-loving hell out of it to make sure that it works. It's relatively affordable. And again, it's a type of thing that you can sell in two ways, right? One of the things that you have to be thinking about as a technology professional, and this is something that a lot of people don't want to grasp, is, just so everybody's clear here, if you have not watched my YouTube videos, this might horrify you when I say this, but we're probably not the good guys. Like, I know in this whole world of the 99% against the 1%, it's always hilarious when I see the tech employees and they got their flags and all that. And I'm like, you know you're not the good ones, right? And honestly, this is when I talk about this, is true. Like, if you look at the way there's a hierarchy of business, right? You have management and you have labor, right? That's basically the concept. And there's this weird idea in the technology world that we're labor. We're not. We're also not management, right? We're basically the foot soldiers of management, right? We are the Praetorian Guard of management. We are the ones that are a little bit higher than those people, but we're also not in the C-level positions, right? And so that's one of the things you need to be thinking about when you go and you're dealing with executives and you hear all this stuff about, oh my God, these businesses are only here for the profit. Like, yes, right? I had an old white guy many years ago. I was going Aspie on him at one point, and I just remember he looked at me and he was like, Eli, I'm not telling you, Eli, that this is a good system. Eli, I'm telling you it's a system that we have. And that is the truth, right? And so one of the things you need to be thinking about when you go and you're dealing with the executives, you're dealing with the managers and all of that kind of thing, is you are there to bring revenue or profit to the company. Our job at the end of the day is either to allow the company to ship more widgets or to allow them to ship widgets at a lower cost. That's the reality. Generally, our job is to get rid of other employees. The good people in the company then figure out what to do with those additional resources to hire more employees back. And so this can be a hard thing. I think about this with, I had a client years ago. I created this horrible database. It was ugly as snot. It used Access. It was a disaster. Anyways, it was this auto scheduling system. So I had a kids club client, and it was insane. They had like 5 different grades of students. They had male and female. They had 20 different classes. And so somebody literally had to sit down with a pen and paper every day and write out all of these names and figure out how to schedule all of these kids in all of these different classes, right? So anyways, they came to me and they said, hey, you're doing all this stuff anyway. Can you build us a little system, a little piece of software to just auto-magically do that? And so I did. And again, this was 20 years ago. And I used Access, and Access is horrible, and I was horrible, and it was just ugly. It was horrible. It was just, anyways, I did my 20 hours of work on it. I hand it to him. I'm like, look, if this actually does what you want it to do, hand me $2,000. If it doesn't, I get it. I'll just take it. Anyways, literally, she sat there, she played with it for about 5 minutes, and she said, Eli, you know this is a full-time job, right? I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I pay somebody $35,000 a year to do that. And yeah, well, now, no. But so anyways, so she retasked. And so that's one of the things to be thinking about when you go out there and you're trying to sell the technology, is really the question is, again, what value are you bringing to the company? And yes, the value is either profit or decreased cost. The cool thing about this particular technology is either one, you can try to eliminate employees, again, receptionists. Again, it's interesting, everybody's like, oh my golly, but auto attendants, so I used to sell auto attendants, awesome. 20 years ago, you call in, so I'm a certified telephone system person, at least for 20 years ago I was. Auto attendance is where you call in and it's like, press 1 for service, press 2 for sales. Again, you all hate that now, but like 25 years ago, that was really cool new technology. It was amazing. You could sell the crap out of that. So either one thing with this technology is you can basically use this for an improved auto attendant. Literally, people can call in, they can ask questions. I'll show you all this kind of stuff. They can have that interactive thing, so you can get rid of that employee for $25,000, $30,000 a year or whatever. Or the other thing is to be thinking about this when you're selling it, is imagine having a receptionist for businesses that simply cannot afford a receptionist. So I think about this, I'm from Asheville, and so we have so many breweries, and all the breweries are failing. Like, it's not a good, like you see all these breweries, and you're like, wow, I didn't know being a brewer was such a good business. Like, it's not, they're all failing miserably, right? So anyways, they can only hire so many employees. And so a lot of these breweries, even when they're packed, they only have one employee. So imagine having an automatic telephone system where I can call in and I can simply say, hey, can I bring my dog? Hey, are you open right now? Hey, what's your latest beer or whatever? This little system can be running on in the background. Your employee can do what they're doing. And again, that's the kind of thing you can sell here. So that's why I am very excited about this, because this is actually something that, again, is valuable. Let's see here. That's kind of the introduction. Let me go to this. So if we scroll down, so introduction, page 2. Going to be talking about it. One of the things here with pricing, this is interesting. So a lot of times when I do these classes, I always try to focus on either free or you guys get enough credits you can test. The weird thing with this is Twilio is awesome. The free service that Twilio gives you, you get a real telephone number that allows you to both receive incoming calls and allows you to send calls out. You do get an annoying message that says this is a trial and you have to hit a number to get past it, but it works well. I got $15 worth of credits like a month ago and I still have like $11.50 left. So Twilio gives you all the credits in the world. The one thing that I'll say with ElevenLabs is ElevenLabs does give you about 10,000 credits per month. But those go quick. It's about 1,000 credits per phone call that I found that it takes up. There's this whole pricing thing in here. And so that's one thing is if you start playing with ElevenLabs, like if you start getting the error that I got, and again, I'd only been playing with it for I hadn't even gotten through the first day of playing with it. Literally, you call, it would connect, it would get about 5 words into the thing and then it would fail out. It would be one of those weird, it's like that weird soft failure where it doesn't just say, hey, you're out of credits, buy more credits. It just goes for about 5 words and then fails. So you spend like an hour troubleshooting it till you realize, oh, you ran out of credits. So anyways, so with ElevenLabs, that is just something to keep in mind. So now let's talk about architecture. So this is one of the big things, Silicon Dojo. I will hammer the ever-loving hell out of this. AI is just a stack, right? I've been doing this since 1996. I've dealt with a dozen stacks at this point in time. The important thing to understand with artificial intelligence is at the end of the day, it is just a stack. When you start building these systems, right, you're going to need a front end. You're going to need a back end language. You're going to need a data store. You're going to need a record store. You're going to need API calls, MCP calls. You're going to need all this stuff. And then one of those layers is going to be AI. But AI is only about 10% of this overall thing that we're going to be looking at. So that's where when we take a look at this architecture. Oh, do remember I am biased too. I will try to admit my biases. Again, I got my MCSE and NT 4.0 back in about 2000. So of course, I always think architecture is the most important thing, which of course it is. But I will just tell you that's my bias. It's my bias because it's true, but it is my bias. Anyways. So that's one of the things you need to be thinking about when you start building these systems is the overall architecture. Because the other thing too is when you start thinking about the architecture, so you start thinking about this, is you can swap out different components, right? So Twilio is what's called infrastructure as a service. So this is where we get our telephone number from. So let's say you don't like Twilio. Apparently nowadays Twilio is not cool. I talk about Twilio and a lot of people get snotty about Twilio. I don't know why they get snotty about Twilio, but they do. Here's the thing, you can swap that out. You can swap that out with somebody else. You might be able to swap out ElevenLabs with somebody else. You can swap out your server. You can swap out your integrations. The important thing is to understand is once you understand how this architecture works, you can start piecemealing together how your system should look. Again, especially once you start going into your business, remember, as I say, macro wins, legacy also wins. Your company has legacy. Your company has crap that's been running for the past 20 years, and you're not gonna win that fight. So basically go in, figure out what's been running for 20 years, and then figure out how all this works. So we talk about the architecture, right? Basically I have the person, they're gonna be either receiving or sending the call. This is gonna go into Twilio, right? Twilio. This is why I have that. Anyway, so Twilio is what's called infrastructure as a service. When we talk about infrastructure as a service, This is infrastructure essentially that you rent. So just like software as a service, like Salesforce or Calendly or whatever else, infrastructure as a service is the same type of thing for infrastructure. So back in the day, I actually had to build VoIP servers. And so a VoIP server, you have a server, you put in telephone cards, you have to do all this configuration. Basically, Twilio does all of that for you. What's going to happen is the call is either going to come in or it's going to come out from Twilio, right? It's going to come in, let's say, through the telephone number. Twilio is going to get it, and then it's going to use something called a webhook. And so a webhook is just a way you can send traffic in the HTTP world, right? And that is going to webhook over to ElevenLabs. And so ElevenLabs is really cool. So you probably heard about ElevenLabs from, they do the voice simulation. So you give it about 2 minutes of your voice and then it'll copy your voice. I honestly thought that's about all it did. But what's really cool is they've actually built onto that. And so they have this whole AI agent system that's going on. And so under ElevenLabs, you're going to have their voice service. And so this is where they bill you through the nostrils. Literally, once you start looking at the billing, it's like per character. Like, it's weird because it's voice, but it's voice per character they charge you. So it gets expensive. So anyways, you have the voice service under that. You also then have the LLM. And so I'll show you this when we deal with it. And so the LLM with ElevenLabs, you can pick who you want to use. Do you like OpenAI? Do you like Google? Do you like Anthropic? Do you like, that's actually an LLM service. So the voice service and the LLM service are different things. And then under here, too, is something called RAG. So that's retrieval augmented generation. The cool thing is, not that long ago, if you want to deal with RAG, you had to deal with a vector database and embeddings and all this kind of fancy stuff. Nowadays, you just do add file, done. And this is the important thing too. As again, I really want you to understand in this world nowadays, one of the problems we get to with AI is you start learning about AI and there's neural networks and there's, oh, it just makes your brain melt. Like when you start learning it, like the introductory, the dummy level of how AI works, and your brain melts because it's all of this linear algebra and all this fancy stuff. The important thing to understand, at least for me, again, in my world of systems, is I don't care about linear algebra. I actually don't really care about neural networks. I care about the product, right? The thing to think about is, at the end of the day, do you really, honestly, understand how FTP works? Like, if somebody put a gun to your head and said, explain FTP down to the bare bones level, would you walk out of that situation alive? Probably not. But for some reason, when you say FTP, everybody's fine. Like, oh, you transfer files. Okay, right? Right. You get into AI, and it's like, well, if you don't understand these 30 different ways of training AI through neural networks, then you shouldn't even touch this stuff. You know, yeah, that's not actually how it works, right? We just need, I don't really need to know how the LLM was trained and all that. I just need to know how to pick that one, right? Again, so RAG nowadays, what's nice with RAG is there's a lot of services out there. You can just add files to a RAG system. It does the RAG for you, and you don't have to worry about the rest, right? So anyways, that's gonna be ElevenLabs. Then, I do realize, I forgot in this, whenever you do fancy diagrams, you always forget something. When we have our server down here, so I'm gonna have my server, so I have crappy-app.com. That's how much pride I take in my work. Anyways, one of the interesting things with ElevenLabs. So ElevenLabs is going to do a webhook too. The thing is, in order to do the webhook, you need HTTPS. So basically, it needs to be a SSL connection. From a technical standpoint, does it need to be? Probably not, but they force you to do it for security reasons. So basically this means it's encrypted. So you hear about encryption in transit, so this is encryption in transit. The issue is, again, trying to teach you folks all of this stuff. Setting up an SSL certificate on a server isn't that big a deal, but it's a little bit of time and effort and energy. What's really cool is if you use Cloudflare, for your DNS, they actually build SSL directly into it. So if you need SSL, just again, a lot of these little AI projects we're going to do, you're going to need SSL. All you have to do is buy your DNS, your domain name on Cloudflare, and your SSL is done. Basically what happens is you have your server, so Cloudflare is in the middle, and so what happens is there's the SSL connection to their systems, and then they connect to you. And so you get that nice little SSL for any times you need SSL, so on and so forth. And again, literally, you just buy the domain name, you point at the IP address, you're done. So anyways, then we've got our little server, crappyapp.com. Under this, we're going to have Nginx. So Nginx is what is called a reverse proxy server. So when the traffic comes in, that will go into the Nginx software. Nginx will then point to Bottle. So Bottle is our web app framework. There's a lot of web app frameworks, Bottle, Flask, Django, Fast API, a lot of those. Bottle is dirt simple, that's why we use it. And then under that is going to be Python. And so that's our favorite programming language here at Silicon Dojo. Beyond that, as I said before, we can do things like SQL, so structured query language, that goes to a database. You can go to a data store. You can do additional REST API calls. And what's great with this webhook, as I will show you in the class, is not only does ElevenLabs send information to your server, but ElevenLabs can receive information from your server. Right? So if somebody calls in and they say, I would like an update on my work order, right? What is your email address? Here's my email address. It sends the email address to crappyapp.com. It then queries the database server on what is the current status of your ticket, and then it sends that current status back. Again, this is the thing to be thinking about when you're dealing with executives. Having employees, holy, the things that make you lose your mind, you just don't even realize until you're there. So like one of the big things I found dealing with customers is communication. Communication solves 99.99999% of the problems. Like all you have to do is you just call them up at the end of the day and you say, this is what we did, this is the problems we ran into, this is my expectation. So one day it's like, hey, we're working on your server, looks pretty good, I think it'll be done tomorrow. The next day you call them up, go, hey, yeah, your server caught on fire. I ordered parts from a place, it'll take a week. And the amazing thing is as long as you communicate with them, it's fine. Again, it's amazing how many problems communication solves. Tech employees don't like to talk to anybody though. Again, I had 9 employees at one time. None of them wanted to pick up the goddamn phone. And so having a system like this, where you can either automatically call out and tell them what the update is, or the customers at any point in time can call in and hear an update. Again, this is one of those things where it gives you value. So this is kind of what this architecture looks like. ElevenLabs also connects to what are called integrations. And so integrations are really cool, is basically where these connect to essentially software as a service platform. So ElevenLabs can connect to Salesforce, can connect to Stripe, can connect to Calendly. So again, imagine if you have a company, you send out field technicians to do repairs. Literally, you can have somebody call in, say, this is the problem that I have, I'd like to schedule an appointment. It can query Calendly, see when the slots are available, come back, say, hey, is 3 o'clock on Tuesday good? Yes, and just auto set that up so the person gets back like a ticket number and the time is slotted in Calendly. So this is a basic idea of what architecture looks like. Is there any questions on this? No? And I realize somebody does not have a book because they came in late. Oh, what's your name?
Hussein.
Hussein, okay. H? Oh, there we go. Yep, there we go. Cool. Okay. Yes?
On page 3,
Yep.
it says there is a built-in system for RAG.
Yep.
It's built in the ElevenLabs, right?
Yeah, it's built into ElevenLabs.
Can
Yeah.
it be exchanged like the LLM and voice? Or is it, like, can you bring your...
Well, yeah, so, okay, yeah, so, I mean, I'll show you how this is once we get to ElevenLabs. So, again, with this, again, architecture, what you have to realize, again, there's a dozen ways to skin a cat. So, with ElevenLabs, the voice is part of ElevenLabs. The LLM, God help you, you might be able to roll your own, but probably don't. The RAG component, again, this is one of those things, based off of how you design it, you could shift that over here. So basically, you could have your RAG system on your own infrastructure and then have ElevenLabs with that webhook be able to pull information from yours back in order to do the response. But yeah, so it's here, but you could move it different places. And again, that's the thing to be thinking about too, is when we talk about architecture, you think about privacy, you think about security, regulatory compliance. You may not want to put a lot of stuff into their RAG system. The other thing too is their RAG system is very point and click. Again, fabulous for point and click. It doesn't have a lot of additional functionality. So like if you wanted a RAG system to be able to auto update, their system isn't going to do that. Basically, you kind of dump it in and it only updates when you manually update it. So. Let's see here. Integrations, did that kind of stuff. Cool. Okay. So
the RAGs is actually at ElevenLabs. The LLM is you get a key somewhere and put that in there.
yeah. So ElevenLabs just did their own RAG. I mean, RAG is pretty simple when you want to set it up. So yeah, RAG is theirs. LLM, as I'll show you, is built into ElevenLabs. Yep. There's a picker thing there. So let's see here. We go to page 5 then. So we take a look at Twilio. Oops, where am I at? I said page 5. Okay, so we take a look at Twilio. Again, this is going to be dealing with a telephone number, infrastructure as a service. The costs, the prices are very good, depending upon the scale. Do remember everything is scale. You got 1,000 users hitting this thing 5,000 times a day. It's going to cost a lot of money. But at least for most customers, it's not going to be too bad. So outgoing. So you can send out calls through Twilio, and that is going to cost you about 1.5 cents per minute outgoing. If you have incoming calls coming in, when you look at this, that is 85% of a penny. So it's less than a penny per minute if somebody's calling into the system, and that is what Twilio is going to charge you for. Let's see here. You're gonna create the account, and when you create the account, you're going to, where's my Twilio? You're gonna create the account. I think there's one thing like claim your telephone number, so then you have to claim your telephone number, and then you're going to get this particular page. You're gonna see my trial up there. Again, I've still got $11.71, and I've been doing this for about a month. So again, you do not run through your money very quickly. You're gonna have your account SID here, which I don't think those people can see. Do not hack. Again, please do not hack me. I'm showing you information I'm not supposed to show you for a reason, but anyways, right? So this is your account SID and your authorization token. So again, whenever you deal with APIs, this is basically going to be your security. Essentially, this is your username and this is your password. And so when one system connects to another system, this is what they're going to use. Do not hand this out. And then we have your telephone number down here. So this is my actual telephone number for Twilio, and that's basically what I need for the basic system. Let's see here. Past that, we then go and we can click on telephone numbers. So up in the left-hand side, you can click on the telephone numbers. You can click on manage. You click on active numbers, and this will show you what your active numbers currently are. And this will show you the configuration here. So it's showing you it's a webhook to post to ElevenLabs. I can click on the number itself, and this is where we can go in here and we can modify. So I'm going to be doing something in a minute. We're going to send this over to a function call inside of Twilio. So if for some reason your calls are not routing properly, come here and verify that this is actually configured properly, right? If this isn't configured properly, your calls aren't going to go to where they're supposed to go. Okay, any questions on that? No? Cool. Okay, so if we come back here, let me see if I can get this link. So one of the big questions I get to in life is, Eli, what language should I learn? And again, it's whatever the hell your boss wants you to learn. And this is the perfect example. This is the perfect example. So you hear about a lot of languages, Python, PHP, JavaScript, all of those kind of things. And there's a lot of weird proprietary stuff out there. So in the Twilio world, there is, in fact, I don't know how you're supposed to say that, anyways, it's Twilio markup language. So basically, this is using something called XML. So XML is called Extensible Markup Language. It uses a tag system, and this basically looks like HTML. And so the concept is with XML is, hey, what if we had tags, but what if we could customize those tags for whatever it is that we need? So that was the debut of XML, God knows, 25 years ago. So XML gets used for a lot of different things. XML is used in RSS feeds if you still use those. And the XML concept is still used here in Twiml. So this is all running, just so we're clear, when we're running this kind of stuff, this is going to be running either on Twilio or on the code that you're sending to Twilio. So right now, again, we start talking about the stack. All we're talking about is Twilio, right? So we're just talking about Twilio. We're not talking about ElevenLabs yet. So anyways, there is this whole markup language thing here. And as you can see, like with this, it says response, say hello world. And so you can set up Twilio, and basically Twilio will be able to send a call, or if you receive a call, it'll be like, oh, when this event happens, literally say hello world to somebody, right? So that's what we're looking at here. If we go down here, this is a Python script, basically kind of showing you how to use kind of like the hello world thing using Python. And there's a whole bunch of different stuff you can go through here and play with. With this, we can take a look at the inbound function. So, where am I at? Let me get back to Twilio. Okay, so, and again, this is the other thing too in the modern world. This is why people become specialists, is just learning how all the Twilio stuff works is a big deal. So there's these things called functions and assets down here. In order to get functions and assets, just so you know, you actually do have to search for it. And then once it pops up, you do have to pin it to the sidebar, just so you know. So if you create your Twilio account and functions and assets aren't there, they're not supposed to be. Do a search within Twilio to get the panel to pop up, and then pin it to the sidebar. Okay, so anyways, we go to functions and assets, we go to overview, we go to manage services, because I've already got a service, and we have this incoming. Again, all on Twilio. So this is using the Twilio ML. Basically, this is using JavaScript. So Twilio allows what is called serverless architecture. So serverless architecture is where you're able to just put the code on their server and you don't worry about anything else. You don't worry about operating systems. You don't worry about any of that. So basically, this right here is what would be called a cloud function, right? Lambda function, maybe. Anyways, and so basically what this is let twiml equal new Twilio response, twiml, whatever, say hello world. This is a test using Twilio to answer a call. Let variable equals welcome, console, and basically this is basically how it works, right? What this will do, again, if all we're doing is Twilio, So let me go back to my active phone number. Let me click on my phone number. Let me, instead of doing webhook, I'm going to do an internal function. I'm going to do incoming. I'm going to do UI, do welcome. So, yeah, do I have to save anything? Save configuration. So basically here, when we look at my service, oh. All right, when we look at my service, so it's incoming, and then this is called welcome. So I send it to incoming, I send it to welcome. So now if I call in, so what I'll be using tonight is voice.google.com, so Google Voice. Again, they also give you a free telephone number. It's amazing the free crap you get in the modern world. It makes life a lot easier. If you go to voice.google.com, as long as you have a Google account, you can get a free telephone number, and you actually get, it's a real number. So you can call into it, you can call out, the whole 9 yards. So if I call my number now.
You have a trial account. You can remove.
So this is that trial account thing.
By upgrading to a full account. Press any key. Hello world. This is a test of using Twilio to answer a call.
right? And that blah, blah is where it's, so basically with that is where you can use this function here. Again, this is a test using Twilio to answer a call. So this is where within Twilio itself, you can actually configure a lot of things to happen. And so again, that's going to be one of the things to be thinking about, especially when you're thinking about how much this whole system is going to cost. You may come to realize you don't even need something like ElevenLabs to build the type of system that you want. So anyways, this is entirely on Twilio itself. Any question with the inbound functions? All right.
I think you said you'll get there later, so you can actually make one of those press 5 to get this information, 6 to get this information, 0 to talk to some communicators.
Yep.
And then can you also send it to, I think you're going to say you can send something like, if you have that book of appointment thing, then that LLM comes in to figure out what tool.
Does it? Does it? Does it? What am I talking about? What am I talking about? Where is the LLM? Where's the LLM? Where are we talking about?
It's outside of Twilio, so.
Yeah. So yeah, LLM is in ElevenLabs, Twilio. So this is all in Twilio. Yeah.
So far we're all in Twilio.
Yeah, we're all there.
To get that menu, can you stay in Twilio?
To get a basic auto attendant menu, you can. That's where you get into that language. Yeah, because you can have like, what is it, dial? So you can actually dial, I think, you can dial a number. So it actually, so if you do something, it'll send it out, that type of thing. Yeah. So this is very basic. Yeah, there's not the LLM component in this yet. Okay. So then we can get to an outgoing script. Basically with the outgoing script, if we take a look at page, whatever page this is, page 9. So I am going to start using something called the .env module, just because dealing with environment variables is a pain. Normally I put the environment variables in the scripts themselves. I'm realizing that's a real pain from an educational standpoint. So anyways, so what we're doing in this particular lesson is we can actually send out calls directly through Twilio. So again, we do not need ElevenLabs. We don't need anything else. We have our own Python script that allows us to do that. So, yeah, okay. So the first thing is we have this .env file. And again, don't hack me. They hopefully can't see this. And so in the .env file, you'll see I have that SID number that I talked about before. And I have my token, right? And so that's basically my username and password. So the idea with having this in the .env file is it's just in one file. You can use it different places, right? Makes it a little bit easier. Let me take a look at the Twilio outgoing. Basically the top part there, so from .env, import load.env, and import OS, that is all going to be just to pull in the environment variables. And then we have down here the load.env, so this loads that env file, and then we get the environment variable and set these variable values to that, right? So basically we have Twilio, we have the account SID, we have the token, and then we feed to the client the account SID and the token. What's really cool is this is all simple, pretty simple. Again, you have the to phone number, so whatever phone number you're going to be sending this to. So again, this could be in a loop, right? Imagine if you want to call all the employees at a business, you could just pull a list of all of the telephone numbers, loop through every single one of these telephone numbers in order to do this. And then we have the from telephone number, and this is the from us. Down here, we get that whole, the Twilio markup language. So I just did some, I don't want to say fancy stuff in here, but just some stuff so you get an idea of what's going on. So this is response. So everything that you're going to be saying has to be within the response tags. So say this, hello world, this is the Twilio bot calling, and we close say. Then we're just going to pause, just to show you can do something dynamically. So we're going to pause for 2 seconds, then we're going to say that was fun, goodbye. We're going to pause for 2 seconds, and then we're going to end. To is going to be the to phone number, from is going to be the front phone number, and then down here is we're going to print out the call identifier. So what's cool is I can simply run this. So this script is simply running on my server. It's running on my computer. It will go up to Twilio and it will call me. So I do that. Oops. Come on. Where's my phone? So it's calling me.
Trial account.
Trial
You
account.
can remove this message at any. Hello, world. This is the Twilio bot calling.
Pause 2 seconds.
That was fun. Goodbye.
Right? So all of this can be done, like I say, and this is all running on your machine. And again, that's where we're talking about this whole architecture thing, depending on what you're trying to do, especially if you're trying to do things really cheap. Again, Twilio is dirt cheap. ElevenLabs is pretty expensive. So if all you need, let's say you have a charity group, right? Red Cross or something like that. You could build your own system, even with its own little LLM. Again, you could use Olama, right? Message could come in. You then grab all the telephone numbers. Olama comes with a custom message for everybody. It can get sent out from here, and it's going to cost you 1.5 cents per time every time that gets called out, versus going through ElevenLabs, which is going to cost you real money. So that's something to think about. So that is Twilio Outbound. Any questions on that one? Yep.
Using Twilio and ElevenLabs, is it possible to, let's say your system is taking in calls, right?
Yep.
The agent is processing calls and you want to take certain actions post-call.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, you want to store the customer information that was collected by the agent in your database. Is it possible to execute, let's say, an action, stored in the database or something?
Well, yeah. So with Twilio, there's not a lot of dynamic stuff going on here. Again, they can press 9, they can press a different number and get called out like a transfer. But this isn't going to be. So ElevenLabs is going to collect information, and I'll show you how that works.
Okay.
Yeah. So Twilio, basically, think about Twilio as a telephone system you can rent for a penny a minute, essentially. It's not that.
The flow again, because you got Twilio,
Yep.
and you got your laptop,
Yep.
and you you create a session with Twilio,
Yep.
and would that just sit there in your laptop and wait?
So yeah, so I have my Python script on my laptop, right? So when I fire off that script, that is going to connect to Twilio. It's going to authenticate. It's going to send that TwiML thing. That goes up to Twilio, and then that gets sent to the person.
It doesn't get sent to the person until they call Twilio, right? And then Twilio.
No. They're not. This is outbound.
Oh, this
I'm
is
receiving it.
completely out.
This is completely. Yeah, that's why we have this. We have this 2 number here. So yeah, it goes from here up here to them. Yeah.
I got lost because Twilio's coming down here.
Yeah, no, it's going up. And that's one thing too to be thinking about, again, when you have this kind of thing. Again, with the dial pad, you can put some stuff in there. And so that's where you may hear, again, like if you're part of a charity group or let's say emergency response group, that's where you might have, it'll be like, here's the message, press 5 to signify that you received it. Because remember with this, there's no acknowledgement that it was received. So it just fires off and then it keeps going through the loop. So if this fires off, the communication is going on, you say press 5 to acknowledge receipt, then they press 5 and through that mess, then it can actually trigger like a database thing or something. Yeah. All right, let's see here. Okay, and then we get to ElevenLabs, the basic stuff. So that's the basic stuff with Twilio, and again, Twilio is simple unless you start getting into the weeds, and then you can have fun with it. Let's see here. So we go to page 10. Start talking about ElevenLabs, the basic things. So one of the issues that you're going to get into, especially with all of this, right? And this is where we get paid. Like there's this whole idea that AI is going to take technology professionals' jobs. That's garbage. Like again, if you're a JavaScript developer, you might need to get some new skill sets. But if you're going to be a technology professional, you're going to be fine. And one of the big things is you're going to have to be thinking about when you start building these systems, is every one of these components is going to have limitations. And so it's one of those math problems you do when you're a kid. And if you're like, it's basically the weakest chain in this whole mess. So if like ElevenLabs can only support, let's say, 4 concurrent calls, then your system can only support 4 concurrent calls, right? And that's going to be one of the things you're going to have to consider. Again, as I used to tell my employees as a professional, and this is why you really need to know this information, as a technology professional, your job is to answer the questions the customer does not know to ask, right? When you go in, I've dealt with really smart CEOs. They really know their area. They don't know what the hell Active Directory is. Like, so simply saying, oh, the CEO agreed to this, therefore it's okay. It's like, yeah, but did they know what the hell they were signing, right? That's an important thing. And so that's gonna be one of the things when you're looking at all this, when you're sitting down with the executive and you're explaining what services to purchase, you're going to have to explain why you're recommending the solutions that you are. And so one of the big things with ElevenLabs, and again, ElevenLabs gets a little squirrely. It's a solid product. I would sell it in a heartbeat. But some of this stuff gets a little bit squirrely. And like one of the big things is if you look here, these are the different levels. So you've got free, and so with free, you got like 15 minutes of speech. With starter, you have 50 minutes. With creator, you have 250 minutes, right? You have these things. But one of the interesting things to look at here is concurrency limit. And so what concurrency limit is how many calls can be occurring at the exact same time. So again, imagine you have a big marketing push. You're sending out, you're trying to do like 1,000 calls in an hour. Well, if you're using Starter, if you're using Creator or something, you literally might not be able to have enough concurrent connections. Again, also be thinking about this, especially in the modern world with emergencies, right? You're dealing with the Red Cross, you're dealing with a local government agency, and they want to spend the least money possible. Like again, so 99% of the time, they're only going to be getting 2 calls in per hour, so they only want to spend $20 a month. And you're like, again, I came from Asheville. We dealt with Helene about 1.5 years ago. Yeah, but what happens when Helene hits your area, right? Do you want a limit of 6 concurrent connections or 10 concurrent connections? Or are you willing to pay? Are you willing to pay more so that when there is an emergency, your systems can actually deal with that emergency? Something to think about there. And so that's when you go to ElevenLabs and you look at all of their different prices. They've got all the different kind of stuff going on. Again, and like this is the weird thing here too. So like if you notice like the starter, I think like starter is like $5 a month. So they give you about 15 minutes of speech. That's fine. But again, notice this very weird thing. Additional minutes X. You don't even get to pay for additional minutes. You hit 50 minutes, you're done, right? Again, good for testing purposes, right? And so that's where like with the creator level, so it gives you 250 minutes approximately per month. But then if you go over, then it's 12 cents per minute. Again, you go to Pro, gives you 1,100 minutes. If you go over, it's 11 cents, so on and so forth. And again, this is the kind of thing that's going to screw you up when you're building these systems, because it's going to work perfectly all the way up until everything fails. So make sure you understand how all your numbers work. Any particular question with that mess?
What's the STT currency?
So STT is speech-to-text concurrency. Yeah, and again, that's where, again, like with all this stuff, you know, people say like, oh, Eli, if you're so smart, why don't you have a normal business again? There's the answer for you. This sucks. This sucks. I'd much rather teach you folks. Because like, look at this, right? So let's say creator. So speech-to-text concurrency is 20. But concurrency limit multilingual is 10, right? So they've got all these different, and again, it's all just a really ridiculous math problem you have to do. Like a lot of people ask, like, do you have to be good at math to do programming? You don't really have to be good at math to be in technology. You have to be good at numbers. It's a different thing. It's like, yeah, figuring out that mess. Yep. Okay, so then we get to ElevenLabs and the setup. So we go to page 11. So we're going to go to ElevenLabs, if I remember what ElevenLabs is. Okay, so you're going to log in. You're going to create an account. You're going to log into ElevenLabs. Now, when you log into ElevenLabs, I'm not sure what it's going to drop you into. ElevenLabs, if you look upper left-hand corner, there's basically 2 things that they offer. There's the creative. So this is what most people know about ElevenLabs, you know, audio books and image and video and all that kind of stuff. That is not what we're dealing with. We want to go to ElevenLabs agents. So ElevenLabs agents, this is what's going to give us these fancy telephone agents. From here, what you do is you go down to phone numbers. So deploy phone numbers. And then here, basically, you can import a number. So if you import a number, let's say from Twilio, this is where it's going to ask you for a label. It's going to ask you what the number is, and then it's going to ask for an SID, right? Those SIDs, as I talked about before. Basically, what's going to happen, you're going to plug all this information in, and then it will automatically configure Twilio on the other side. Oh, let me just make sure. See, this is where you get screwed up in life. Let me go back to Twilio. Manage, active, boop. Let me go here. Let me go to Webhook. Let me go to my thing. Oh, did I erase it? No, there we go. This is why notes are useful. You can just copy and paste stuff. Control C. Control V. There we go. All right. So again, once you start using Twilio, you need to make sure the webhook is pointing at Twilio. Or ElevenLabs. When you start using ElevenLabs, you have to make sure the webhook is pointing at ElevenLabs. When you go through and you do this import procedure, it will create that webhook for you. So that's one of the things that might screw you up. Since it does it for you automatically, you may then change it later and then forget what the hell the configurations are supposed to be. So just be careful there. Anyways, with that, we can click on the phone number. And basically what we have here is we have your phone number, and then what we're going to be using later is this is your phone number ID. So again, one of the frustrating things in the coding world is you always have to identify something, and what they decide to identify, how they identify something might not be what you're thinking. And so when we write the code later, we actually need the phone number ID, not the phone number. Then beyond that, we have the agent. So basically when somebody calls in, what agent are they going to be routed to? So I have this agent called Twilio here. And so that's the basic idea of what's going on with the phone number. Yep. Okay, any questions on the phone number? Cool. Okay, then we go to agents. So let me look at this Twilio agent. Okay, when you look at the Twilio agent, you're then going to get to this page. And you have a whole bunch of options here. So the first option here, this is going to be kind of like the AI stuff that you're going to be used to. So you're going to get a system prompt. And basically what the system prompt is you're going to create a personality. You can create a personality. You can create an environment. You can create a tone. You can create a goal, right? You can do guardrails. Basically, you can plug all of this into the system prompt. When you go to create a new agent, you can either say blank agent, or it'll give you kind of a copy-paste routine or a cut-and-paste routine. If you do that, if you do the cut-and-paste routine, or the paint by numbers, let's say paint by numbers routine, it will create this nice system prompt for you. If you don't do their thing, it will give you a blank prompt, and you get to figure out what the hell you want to put in there. Again, this is something to realize with these whole prompts now for LLMs, this is getting much more sophisticated. I remember 3 years ago when prompt engineering basically meant, wow, you did 4 whole sentences in your prompt. That's amazing. What you now start seeing with these prompts is they start getting pretty big. And so this is going to be one of your things as a professional going to your executives, is really sitting down and truly understanding what the hell they want out of this system. Again, like I say, like things like personality. Like again, like what personality do you want this agent to have? And again, when you start talking with executives, they're like, you can figure it out. You're like, no, you got to answer. Anyways, then we're going to have that come down here, and you're going to have the first message, whatever the first message is, right? Up here, we can then have voices. So we have all kinds of different voices. If I can click on this, and we do Peter.
Jackson not only sounds great, he also communicates with feeling and intelligence.
Now Marco.
Fascicoli impolverati e volti scomparsi.
There you go. We have
L'ispettore sa di...
Emilio.
La vida está llena de desafíos. Recuerda que dentro de ti.
Ivy.
Hi, I'm Ivy. I'm a mix of sophisticated vocabulary with notes of casual vibes and a splash of sarcastic sass to make the perfect voiceover cocktail.
There you go. And again, it's kind of like an interesting thing, like whenever we do business, or in business with technology, it's amazing how things change. And again, new weird jobs pop up. Like, so for design, right? So for front end design, I know a lot of people that made a lot of money because people like me do not care about the color wheel. The last thing I'm going to do when I'm designing something is pick up a color wheel. So there have been a lot, I've had a lot of friends who have made like $200,000 a year. Literally all they do is they go in and they make sure the front end looks pretty, right? So something to be thinking about the AI world and the new jobs that are going to exist is kind of like, what is an interior design concept in the AI world? Like, what should that voice sound like? Like, what is the voice of an auto mechanic? And like, that's a real question. Like when somebody calls in, like, should it be happy and cheery and perky? Or should it be, oh, I can, you know, like that's the kind of thing to be thinking about. But anyways, so you got all these kind of voices here. Stability, speed, similarity. You can play with all that kind of stuff. You come down here, language, so English or whatever language you want to put in there. And then down here, you can select your LLM, right? So I can click on LLM, and it gives you all of these different options. Now, when you pay ElevenLabs, they're basically going to pay all this. So I'm not really sure how this pricing works with ElevenLabs, but you can see the price here. And again, the price is almost nothing, 0.0006 cents per minute, whatever the hell that means, right? So that's for Gemini Flash. The big thing to be looking at here is to be looking at the latency. Like, so ElevenLabs, GLM 4.5 Air, on its own has a 953 millisecond latency. So that LLM on its own is going to take a second to process a prompt, right? And so again, think about this. When somebody's calling in, how quickly is the response going to come back? So that is almost a second for some reason. Gemini 3 Pro preview is 4.2 seconds on latency. And then you come down here, again, 1.54. Gemini Flash is 617 milliseconds. And you know, you can try to figure out what you want. GPT OSS is 318 milliseconds. And so that's where you got to go through and you got to figure out. One of the big things that I found playing with this, and this is going to be a big thing whenever you're dealing with these LLMs, is the responses are going to be significantly different. Like one of the big things in the technology world, the architecture style we currently use is called service-oriented architecture. The idea is that if somebody's service fails, or you don't like it, Twilio fails, or SendGrid fails, you should just simply be able to go to another vendor, change some API keys, and you're done. Maybe you change some error codes in your system. It should be relatively easy. The warning that I will give you with these LLMs is the fundamental responses that they give you are going to be significantly different. It's not simply a price or a performance thing. Like literally, when you feed them the exact same information, they are going to give you incredibly different answers. So do be careful with that. Let's see here. Okay, so that is the first agent page. Any questions there? Yep.
So, given the high cost,
yep.
Is it worth caching? Like if we have a similar string of text, we know that one's going to be reused. Is it worth caching or just not bother with it?
Well, no, so the cost with ElevenLabs is in the voice. So the LLM is fractions of a fraction of a fraction of a penny. So with ElevenLabs, I really wouldn't say the caching would probably be that valuable to you. Again, you could, like if you did caching, that's where you could do something over on this side. You could build your own caching system over here. That might increase the performance for you. So it might be better more for the latency. So you might get down to 100 milliseconds latency versus 600 or 900 milliseconds latency. But I'd say probably for the caching mechanism, unless you have an insanely large knowledge base that you're dumping into the prompt, it will be the speed that you'd be looking for caching. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, then from here we can go to workflow. So we'll show this in a different example. Basically, this is where you create the flow of the call. So basically with this, you have the start, you have a new sub agent. Then under this, right? You can transfer to an agent, so you can create multiple agents and actually transfer. You can transfer to a phone number, you can transfer to a tool, or you can simply end a call. And so basically with this, you can just keep creating, like I can do an agent transfer, and then should be able to add from there. Anyways, but you can keep adding stuff. I'll show you an example of that later. Branches, what this is kind of interesting. You can actually do A/B testing. So you can test to see if you're getting the results that you want. And then basically you can create multiple branches to see which branch works best. So again, it might be like a voice thing. You might be like, you know what? Again, it's an auto shop. I don't know. You know, maybe it's in a hipster side of town, so they want a perky girl. Or maybe it's in the working class side of town. But who knows? Maybe the working class people like perky girls and the hipsters want rough guys. Like you might not actually know what they want. So anyways, what the branches allow you to do is you can do this create branch, and basically it duplicates what you already have, and then you can modify some changes to see if you get different results. Then you get to the knowledge base. Oh yeah, so I'll show you this once we're all done. And so basically with the knowledge base here, this is where, so again, this says I don't have enough knowledge to actually be a RAG. But basically you can just dump information in here, and now this AI agent is going to have all of this information. And what's cool is it's like this quick, right? So basically what I did is the local brewery that I go to had a PDF of all of their beers. So I literally just uploaded the PDF, not text, uploaded the PDF file. It turned it into text, and now it has all of that knowledge. If we take a look at this, I gave it a URL. So I gave it a URL, of information about the brewery, right? And basically I got like where it's located. Do you have parking? What if I bike over? Do you allow dogs? What about children? So all of that information is there. And then I added, since it wasn't in there, I added copied and pasted their hours of operation. So now with a couple of clicks, now this AI agent has all of that information. We go over to analysis. Oh, and with the knowledge base, just so you know, if you go to RAG, so basically RAG is called retrieval augmented generation. Basically when you have really, really large files, it chunks those files into parts. And then the idea is it can pull just the chunks it needs in order to answer a question. So this is where you can get into here and you can play with the chunks, you know, character limit size, how many characters will it get per query, what's the chunk limit, and limit the number of document chunks received per query. So this is something to be thinking about is like, what is the latency? The more information that goes into your system, the longer it's going to take for it to give you a response. So again, if this is like for a government agency, let's say it's internal. So I'm calling another agency within the government, I may be willing to wait 5 minutes to get the right response. Whereas if this is the local McDonald's, right? If it takes any more than 1 second to get a response, I'm gonna hang up the phone. So that's one of the things to be thinking about here with like these different limits. Let's see here, we got analysis. So it shows different things like whether things succeeded or failed. It can actually show you all the messages, right? So I can click on this. It gives you the transcript and all this information. So here's the transcript. Hello, this is the best place for beer in Asheville. What you need? Do you have any stouts? So you can go through here and you can take a look at all this information, basically see what people are actually asking for. You can also do tests. So you can set up tests here. So if the response isn't right, you can try to change how the LLM responds. You can actually listen to it.
Hello, this is the best place for beer in Asheville. What you need?
Do you have any stouts?
Yes, we do. We have Amberina
Right.
Imperial Stout, Four Roses Bourbon Barrel Imperial Stout, and Coconut
And so you can go through here and you can just listen to it, basically get an idea of what's going on. So my plumber, I have a very good plumber. They decided to go with their AI system. Anyways, I've been really complaining about their AI system because their AI system is garbage. The worst part is though, I talked with the plumbers that have come to my house and they said, yeah, Eli, the problem is a lot of the old guys are flirting with the AI. Like literally, I'm like, what the hell is the problem with this? I hate this AI. And they're like, yeah, we've told the bosses that, but the bosses have played us these messages and these old guys are flirting with the AI.
The old plumbers.
What's that?
The old plumbers?
No, the old customers.
customer.
Yeah, so the customer comes in and they've got a bad garbage disposal, and it's that perky girl like, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing pretty good today. And they're like going back and forth. Like, anyway, so you can go in here and see what the hell these people are talking about. You go to tools. This is where I'll show you later. This is where you can add tools. So webhooks, integrations, that type of deal. Also a big thing here, these are kind of like the built-in tools. And this is a weird one. So it doesn't default to having the agent literally be able to hang up for some reason. So again, we talk about those concurrent calls. People are calling in, it's an emergency, they put the phone down, that session is still active, right? If you've got 4 concurrent or 8 concurrent calls, you hit that concurrency, even if it's people put the phone down, you run into issues. So for whatever reason, you actually have to check mark this off, and that literally just allows the agent to end the call, right? Something to think about. Language detection, a transfer to agents, transfer to numbers, that type of deal. So this is where you can give the agent some permissions to do stuff. Tests, again, we won't go into tonight at all, but this is where you can add tests, where you can go through that when you look at the transcript and you can see maybe where there was a problem, the LLM didn't answer properly, you can use tests to try to create better answers. We can do the widget. So this is actually really cool. So everything that I'm going to show you tonight, you've got this widget down here. So like you can actually embed this. So you embed this code onto your web page, and now you have a fully interactive widget. And so again, that's the other thing to be thinking about too, is how do you integrate all your systems, right? The idea is that when somebody comes to any system that your company has, that they basically get the same interface, the same response, that type of deal. So this is nice. So you can just put this on your website, and now it's still all going through ElevenLabs, and it's going to cost you less money generally.
Hey, does the widget prompt you if you want a voice or text? I mean,
Well, so when you're down here, so you can do like chat, text only mode, but like, yeah, but like I can click on this, I do accept, and so I can do this. I can say, do you have,
that's always
yeah.
really good.
So it's like, yeah, so it just spit all that out in text, right? Or again, I can kill this. I don't want that. Allow.
Hello, this is the best place for beer in Asheville. What you need?
So, yeah. So those there, that is, yep.
Can you put guardrails on it or like a time limiter so that, because if that thing's staying connected and old man is having a nice conversation with Mr. AI bot there, you're getting charged for that, right? Because that's hitting your...
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things to be thinking about. Like when we talk about denial of service attacks, like again, I don't know, anybody here is old enough to remember Willow, the actual movie? Anybody actually see Willow, the actual movie? Yeah, anyways, like in the beginning, like there's this old wizard and he's talking to Willow and he's like, which finger is the most powerful finger? And in the end, Willow comes back and says, mine is, right? The idea, well, that's it. What finger is the most dangerous finger? Yours. And so one of the things that you do have to be careful about is what happens when you do a denial of service attack against yourself. So again, you set up all these connections, right? So anyways, with this, if you go to security, you can put guardrails here. So there's all kinds of guardrails. Because again, that's the other thing to be realizing with this, is you're using the actual LLMs. So whatever Gemini will respond with, you're getting the Gemini response, right? Yeah, what's that? Well, thankfully I don't think they, but that's actually one of the things, like I got on here and yeah, you can start just having a conversation with this. Like if you don't try to lock it down, you can start having a conversation with it, and that's its own. So yeah, so you can put guardrails, sexual violence, harassment, all that kind of stuff there. And then is it here? Daily call limit, so the max number of calls per day. And then I guess is on advanced. When you go to advanced, you can scroll down. So max conversation duration is 600 seconds. So this is 10 minutes. So again, you might want to reduce that down to a minute or two, or whatever the limit should be. Yeah. Because yeah, it is interesting. Like I'm a Gen X, so I've just seen the technology come. And again, technology has gone so weird. Like when I got my Facebook account, like it really was to look at pictures of corgi butts. I remember when Facebook seemed innocent and pure, and now it is whatever the hell it is. one of the things to think about is there's a lot of lonely people. Again, as a YouTuber, one of the biggest problems we have as content creators is something called parasocial relationships, where people watch you so much, they literally believe they have a relationship with you, right? They've seen you for the past 10 years. You don't even know that they exist. And it can be very bizarre. And so again, like that is something to be considering when you build this system is what happens if you get a really lonely person that calls you, and it's a nice, cute girl, and hey, she's talking to you. I mean, right? Anyways, so yeah, that is a way to time out a max conversation duration there. So these are some of the kind of settings that you can deal with. So if we go back, I think my Twilio should work. So, oops. Let me show you what this call looks like, hopefully, right? So I can now call. And again, everything that I'm showing you, this particular example took me about 10 minutes to set up the first time, right? So this is very, very easy, and it's amazing how powerful this is.
You have a trial account.
Trial.
You can remove this.
Hello, this is the best place for beer in Asheville. What you need?
Hey, do you have any stouts?
Yes, we do. We have a few stouts available. We have Amberana Imperial Stout, Four Roses Bourbon Barrel Imperial Stout, and Coconut Bourbon Barrel Imperial Stout. Would you like to know more about any of those?
No, not really. What about IPAs?
Yes, we have a few IPAs as well. We have American IPA and Session IPA and Hazy IPA V7. Do any of those sound good?
Yeah, those actually do sound good. You know, I'm probably gonna be a little bit hungry. Do you have any snacks?
Yes, we have snacks. We have a large hot pretzel, smoked pimento dip, pita chips, olives, organic popcorn, pretzel braids, pretzels, potato chips, and mustard.
I do like pretzel braids. How much are the pretzel braids?
The pretzel braids are $2.25.
Pretty good. I've got a dog. Am I allowed to bring dogs?
Yes, we love and allow well-behaved dogs. If your dog is very barky or reactive, please let them relax at home.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so we'll come in. Are you open right now?
Yes, we are open. We are located at 1042 Haywood Road, Asheville, North Carolina, 28806. We are open until 9:30 p.m. tonight.
Awesome. Okay, I'll see you in a bit.
Great. We'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Yeah, right? And so, I mean, like, look at the power of that. And again, like I say, for a lot of this stuff, like when I'm calling my plumber, I actually would like to talk to somebody because I'm having real problems. But like how many times, like again, like with our breweries, so many times it's like my buddy and I, like we both have our dogs. And so all we want to do is like, fuck, are we allowed to bring our dogs? And so you can just call up, hey, can I bring my dog? There you go, right? And again, and so that whole call, you know, probably costs, let's say 10 cents. And if we go to that brewery, beers are now like $10 a piece. So 10 cents basically is going to net them $20 at least in revenue, right? So again, so that's basically everything that I showed you. So that is with, that is literally, again, that is this Twilio agent right here. And so this is the system prompt. Again, basically a system prompt that was there. This is the first message, and then all I did is I dumped this information into the knowledge base and was able to do all of that. And again, like I said, that's why I say, like, I could sell the crap out of this if I still had a business. Yep.
What was the LLM that you were using on that call? I didn't ask you that before when you had a list of the LLMs and what the response times were.
So that was Gemini Flashlight. So Gemini Flashlight has a 575 millisecond response time. Yeah.
Half a second.
Yeah.
Sounded pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where like Quinn, again, everybody's worried about the Chinese folks. Hey guys, Quinn's got 188 millisecond response time. So, yeah. What's that?
Do you know what regular conversation speed is at?
No, I don't. I know with, so again, since I sold VoIP systems, so There's something called jitter. And so when you're doing a normal voice telephone call, as long as it's under supposedly about 70 milliseconds of latency, it seems like a pretty normal call. Once you go above 100 milliseconds, you start to note it. That's when it starts to sound like a little, like just a little off. And then once you go above 200 milliseconds, that's when it all kind of goes to hell. But yeah. Yep.
So we took Twilio out. This could be like when I drive up to a fast food restaurant, and I could talk to this thing and make my order, right?
Yeah. So yeah, you could set up a kiosk or whatever. Yeah, because like I say, like that widget thing. So that widget thing you can just put onto any kind of HTML document, and then you trigger it however you want to trigger it. Yep. Okay, so.
Yeah, just very clarifying what she was saying. So, you know, the business has a phone number. Why not just put their phone number? They can just put their phone number.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you would.
They're calling that number, their business number, and answering it, right? And that's what. Is that how you configure it?
Well, yeah. So if they already have a telephone number, so Twilio is basically like its own telephone service. So you can port numbers into again. Be very careful when you're dealing with real businesses with this, because again, their telephone number is gold. But yes, you can port their number into Twilio, or what you might do is probably what I would do, especially if I'm kind of new to this, is I would auto forward their number to Twilio, so that if anything gets screwed up, I can just kill that auto forwarding. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't do that. You just go, by default, you could just have a separate Twilio number and have your widget on the website
Yeah.
when they call you, or when they jump on the website.
Yeah.
But what number would they call if they didn't, if they weren't online? And so that's where you go forward.
Well, yeah, that's where. So yeah, with Twilio, it's a telephone number. So you would either port the business's number into Twilio, or you would directly forward. Like I say, I would probably directly forward. Or what you could do is kind of like what's called would be a hunt group. Anyway, what you could do is, and again, you can set this up with forwarding with most numbers, is like ring a couple of times on the local number, and then once it hits like 3 rings, then auto forward to Twilio. Yeah. So.
Which would trigger
Yeah.
the voice.
Yeah. So basically, when this happened, like Twilio to the end user is basically invisible, right? The call comes in and just auto gets routed to ElevenLabs. So again, whether they dial the number directly or whether they get forwarded to the number, that's a pretty seamless transition. Yeah.
I think you mentioned one of the power of ElevenLabs is a guy like their voice better than mine, but you said you could train it in your voice, and
Yep.
then it would answer or to say whatever you wanted it to say in your voice.
Yeah,
in
yep.
voice.
Yep.
Is that hard to do? You're not prepared to demo, but is it kind of hard to do?
No. So I've played with, again, like the problem you get to is like teaching classes. There's doing something and then there's teaching it. No, like actually doing it is pretty simple. You can probably do it in about 5 minutes. Basically, you take however, I don't know how much they need anymore. Yeah, it's like they ask for a certain sample, you give them that sample, and then basically they train that model really quickly. So some of these models nowadays, it requires less than 2 minutes of your voice. And so, yeah. And that's the other thing to be thinking about, like with branding and AI. So I believe in, this is weird. And again, it's interesting with AI, I've been talking about this for years, is the concept of institutional relationships. So my wife and I, we always go to Starbucks. So Starbucks is really garbage coffee until you drink other coffee in places. Like I used to hate Starbucks, but I traveled all around the world, and it was amazing. You would go to these local coffee shops, and half the time their coffee was even worse than Starbucks. So at least when you go to Starbucks, you know you're getting the same crappy coffee. And one of the things I always thought about is my wife, when we were in Amsterdam, got addicted to stroopwafels. So they're just addictive as hell. And I thought it was interesting. I've been to Starbucks in Germany and Thailand and Chile and all over the country. And I thought it was curious that we go into Starbucks in Amsterdam and they didn't just offer us a stroopwafel. Like stroopwafel is literally as addictive as crack. If you haven't had one, especially in Amsterdam, they're just like, it's just butter and sugar, it's just perfect. And one of the things I thought about, and that's what I think about with institutional relationships, is what happens when the institution itself has a relationship with you. So imagine Starbucks knows you travel around the world, you've been to all of these different places, and it also knows you've never been to a Starbucks in Amsterdam. What does a Starbucks in Amsterdam have different than Thailand, like a stroopwafel? So imagine I get my cup of coffee, and they're just like, oh, we see that you're new here. Here's this free stroopwafel. First one's free, right? And that's the kind of thing to be thinking about was with this AI stuff, is really the concept of the institution. The institution can have a relationship with the customers. And so that's something to be thinking about also with that voice, is imagine if every time I call in, again, you create a story around people's voices. Again, we all have prejudices, we all have biases. And so if there's a voice that you, again, a voice might remind you of your mom, good or bad, right? If it's good, it's like, oh, okay, we get a better response. And that is the kind of thing to be thinking about, yep. Like, again, imagine you always call in and get the same person, and different people get different people. Yeah. Okay, so with ElevenLabs, you can also do outbound calls, which is pretty cool. So we create an agent. Let's go here, let's go to agents, and we have my outbound agent. And so basically with the outbound agent, again, if all you do, if you don't ask for help, this is all you are going to get as your system prompt, right? So anyways, basically with this, it's the idea of our battleships have been attacked, right? It's gonna call out, alert, our battle cruisers have been attacked, right? If we go and we take a look at the knowledge base, we just have some text here. So which battle cruisers have been attacked? The Enterprise, the America, and the Ticonderoga. And then, like, what should you do? So if you're a service member, report to your duty stations. If you're a civilian, head to a shelter. And if you're Louis Rossmann, dance like a chicken, right? Anyways, it's internal. We got a whole joke thing with Louis Rossmann. But anyways, so we go and take a look at how to set this up. Let's see here. The first thing we're gonna need is our API key. So we go down to developers, down in the lower left-hand corner. You're gonna pull this up. You're going to go to API keys, click on the API keys, and this is how you get the API key. So this is going to be for your Python code so that your Python code is able to communicate with ElevenLabs. So with this, again, when we start talking about this architecture, so, no, never mind. Yeah, this is going to be everything. Never mind. Anyway, so we talk about the architecture. It will be ElevenLabs, and it will be going through Twilio. So anyways, this is the API key for ElevenLabs. Let's see here, and we need the agent name. So when we go to the agents and we go to outbound, basically up here, so outbound is the name, but that's not the actual identifier. That little ID thing up in the left-hand corner, that is the ID that you're going to need. Then we can go and we can take a look at the Python script itself. And this is what it looks like, right? So again, as I've said many times before, AI is hard, APIs are not. Right, so we're going to use the ElevenLabs module, Python module. We're going to have the dot environment. We're going to load the dot environment, and we're going to get the ElevenLabs key here. Then we simply do client equals ElevenLabs. The base URL is for ElevenLabs, and then we're going to feed in the key. Now down here, we're going to have the agent ID. So again, this isn't outbound, this is the agent ID. And then we're going to have the agent phone number ID, right? So that's that phone number ID I showed you before. And so that's with programming, that's where things can get a little complicated. And then down here, this is where we have the to number. So this is the actual telephone number. This is who we're going to be calling. So with this, and do that. Come on. There we go. Answer.
Trial account.
Try.
You can remove.
Alert, alert, our battle cruisers have been attacked.
Oh no, has the America been hit?
I am sorry, but I cannot confirm if the America has been hit. My current information indicates that our battle cruisers have been attacked.
Which battle cruisers have been hit?
I am sorry, but I do not have specific information on which battle
that's
cruisers
funny.
have been hit.
Different
I only have
words,
the general
different
alert
words.
that our battle cruisers have been attacked.
What battle?
I am sorry, I do not.
What
I am sorry, I did not understand your request. Could you please? I am sorry, I did not understand your request. Could you please rephrase that?
What battle cruisers have been attacked?
I am sorry, but I do not have specific information on which battle cruisers have been attacked. My current alert only states that our battle cruisers have been attacked.
How about the Ticonderoga?
I am sorry, but I do not have specific information regarding the Ticonderoga. My current alert only states that our battle cruisers have been attacked.
What should I do if I'm a service member?
If you are a service member, you should report to your duty station.
What should my kids do?
If your children are service members, they should report to their duty stations. If they are civilians, they should head to shelter.
What if I'm Louis Rossman?
If you are Louis Rossman, you should dance like a chicken.
There you go. Okay, and of course, let me see, again, you go through these tests and everything works until you do the live demo, right? Yeah, so it's all published, and this is the outbound. Let me try this again. That is literally the first time that particular error has happened. Oops.
File account. You can remove.
Alert, alert, our battle cruisers have been attacked.
Has a Ticonderoga been attacked?
Yes, a Ticonderoga class cruiser has been attacked.
Oh no, what other cruisers have been attacked?
The Enterprise has also been attacked.
Is that all?
Yes, that is all the information I have on attacked cruisers.
Really? Was the America attacked?
Yes, the America has also been attacked.
Yeah, it's being a little weird here. What should I do if I'm a civilian?
If you are a civilian, you should head to shelter.
All right. So anyways, that basically gives you a very simple demonstration, and it also does show you the quirks about all this. Again, one of the things with classes is sometimes you can create an example that's so good, people think this stuff works perfectly. The nice part about this is you can start seeing the weird errors of, like, is that all? Yes, that's all. Well, what about the America? Oh yeah, that's been attacked too, right? So anyways, things to... Yeah.
Is that the LLM that's giving that kind of staggered response?
Yeah, so that, let's see here, what LLM is that one using? So that's Gemini Flash Lite 2. Yeah, let's see, let's change it to, let's see what Quinn does. Let's see what Quinn does. So we publish, so whenever you make a change, do make sure to publish. That's their version of save. So we're gonna use Quinn.
This is the Chinese model, right?
Yep, Quinn.
Trial account. You can remove this message at.
Alert, alert, our battle cruisers have been attacked.
Has the Ticonderoga been hit?
I cannot confirm the status of the Ticonderoga at this time. Please remain calm and follow the instructions provided. If you are a service member, report to your duty station. If you are a civilian, head to shelter immediately.
Yeah. What battle cruisers have been attacked?
Yes, there has been an attack on our battle cruisers. Please stay calm and follow the emergency instructions. Service members should report to their duty stations, and civilians should proceed to shelter immediately.
Which ships have been attacked?
I cannot provide specific details about which ships have been attacked at this time. Please follow the emergency protocols. Service members report to duty stations. Civilians head to shelter. Stay tuned for further updates.
So we'll see how this is. Can I take my dog to a shelter?
Shelter policies may vary, but many emergency shelters do allow pets when accompanied by their owners. Please check with the specific shelter you are heading to for their pet policy. If in doubt, bring your dog's leash, carrier, and any necessary supplies.
But you notice, all of that it made up. There's no part of the knowledge base where I said anything about dogs. And so again, that's one of the interesting things was playing with these different LLMs, is I've seen that where some of the LLMs will say, yes, bring your dog to the shelter. And you're like, that was never anywhere. So again, that's where with testing and all that, you have to be careful. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's where it's up to you to like build all that guardrail. And again, testing. And that's the important thing. Like as you work with this stuff, you start to realize where those failures are. So that's basically the inbound. So we did the outbound. Okay, I showed you the inbound with that. Oh, inbound workflow. Let me show the inbound workflow. So this is multi. Okay. So the next one to take a look at is you go ElevenLabs, you go to agents and multi-step. So basically with the multi-step here, this is just you're a helpful assistant. Thank you for calling the amazingly best company to ever exist, right? One of the things here is we now are going to be using this workflow. And so with this workflow, what's going to happen is you're going to basically have that receptionist agent is going to answer the call, and then you're going to get routed to a sales agent or to a service agent. So this is one of the things to be thinking about when we start talking about artificial intelligence. So one of the big concepts that keeps getting promulgated nowadays is this whole idea of AGI, right? Basically, artificial general intelligence. This one thing is going to know everything. The problem is when you know everything, sometimes you know too much. And again, that's where you start getting hallucinations. That's where you start. And so one of the concepts with artificial intelligence is the idea of trying to segment off the artificial intelligence, right? This agent does one very specific thing. So if it's out of bounds, it's a lot easier to say what the bounds are, right? So basically the idea here is that you can have a sales agent, right? So the sales agent would have its own prompts, it would have its integrations, that type of deal, and the service agent would have its own prompts and its integrations. The interesting thing here is that these are all different agents, right? So we go here and we take a look at this. We can see we're using Eric as a smooth, trustworthy person. We're using Gemini 2.5 Flash. If we go over and we take a look at the other agents, right? We have the service agent. Charlie is deep and confident, right? It says service department here. What can I do for you, right? So you can do different prompts there. And sales, right? That has Laura, enthusiastic and quirky, right? So again, that's the kind of thing to be thinking about. Is like, what is the, like, they talk about that with, if you ever go to Las Vegas, when you go to Las Vegas, it's everywhere smells like something. And there's this idea that the smells get you into like an emotional state, basically to give them more money. And so again, this is something to think about with like artificial intelligence is again, how do you have voices that kind of, you know, capture people to do stuff? So anyways, basically with this, let me do the multi. So phone numbers, again, I go to Twilio. All I have to do to change the agent is I go to multi-step. That's it. And so now when I call in, nope.
Hello, thank you for calling the amazingly best company to ever exist.
Yeah, can I schedule a service appointment?
Yo, my man, this is the Department of Awesome Services. How can I help you?
No, that was weird. So anyways, that went to service. And so again, you can have a whole routine when it goes to service. Or if I go on a call again.
You have a trial account.
Hello, thank you for calling the amazingly best company to ever exist.
Yeah, can I talk to somebody in sales?
Yo, this is the salesman here.
How can I help you today? What are you looking to buy?
All right, it is acting very quirky today. I don't know what that's about, but it gives you the basic idea of what is supposed to happen there, right? So it's able to route. And when you take a look at those routes, again, you can do very complicated things. So let me go back to the agents, go to multi-step. And so again, so here's the workflow, right? So, so we have the new subject, right? So basically for this, you know, the conversation goal. So this is the goal of the conversation here. Find out if the person wants sales or service, and it has this information, right? Then basically here we have these steps. So LLM conditions sales. The user wants sales. If that's the case, you get routed to the sales agent, right? If the person wants service, then they get routed to the service agent. I can also add, if I click on the plus here, again, that's where you can do this agent transfer, or again, you can do a telephone number. Again, I'll always put in something so somebody can get to the operator, right? That type of deal. Or you can hit tools or end the call or any of that kind of stuff. And so that's how you can start building out a much more complicated system. Any questions with that? No? Cool. All right. Well, wow, we are getting about to the end of the class then. So the final thing is webhooks, which is really cool. Which one are we doing here? Hold on one second. Let me, is that the Twilio agent? Oh, that's a webhook in. Again, that's why naming conventions are useful. So you're like, crap, what agent am I supposed to click? You're like, oh, inbound webhook computer service agent, that one. Anyways, so basically what I did with this is this has the webhooks. So we have an agent here. Again, I had it grab a lot of stuff. Then we have tools. So one of the things I added here is tools. So it has the webhooks. And I also have a response thing here, tell the customer what the ticket number is that is returned from the server. So the important thing with all of this is all of this has to be set up. So the call comes in from Twilio, hits ElevenLabs, ElevenLabs then sends to your server. So the first thing I need to do is make sure my server is actually running. So let's see, crappyapp.com. I hit this. All right. This is just an easy way. That's just basically a fake ticket number. One of the things is, so this is the domain name, crappyapp.com. So you might want to put something here. And this is one of the things you'll notice, like sometimes when you'll see these types of services, if you go to the web page itself, like the web page itself, you'll just get some kind of like status number there. And the value there is for you. So if I'm having problems, I can go to the web page. If I get a status, then I know what that status means. If I get nothing, then I know the system is down, and that's what's causing problems. So anyway, so basically this is on DigitalOcean. So in order to make this work, I used a droplet on DigitalOcean using Ubuntu. This is the $6 per month version. What I will tell you is if you decide to use DigitalOcean for droplets, the $6 a month version is the droplet to go with, right? That is the lowest level droplet, again, for crappy stuff like this. If you go with the $4 a month version of the droplets, it is so crappy, not even bottle will work worth a damn. Like it's just, I'm not even sure what you're supposed to use at $4. So you don't need the $30 a month, you don't need the $22 a month, you just need the, that one. So we can go to console. I think I have console opened up somewhere. Go to console. Anyway, oops. Did I have another console that was open? Nope, that's a console that was open. Never mind. So this is the console that's open. So I don't have bottle running automatically, so I did have to make sure that this was actually up and running. And so this is bottle, and so this is the command line, and it's just showing what's going on. So it shows the script was triggered here, but no values basically actually came in. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to call myself. So let's just make sure inbound. So we go to phone numbers, we go to Twilio, we go to agent, we go to inbound, right? So now what I can do, so I can call me.
You have a trial account. You can remove.
Hello, how can I help?
Yeah, my computer screen is cracked.
Oh no, a cracked computer screen can definitely be frustrating. I can help you with that. To get a work order started for you, could I please get your email address?
Yeah, it's bob@hotmail.com.
shortly with the next steps and an estimated resolution time. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?
No, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for reaching out. Have a great day.
Close it, right? So basically, I'm calling ElevenLabs. It's grabbing the information. So I already pre-programmed it to ask for certain information and then give that information a variable name. It's then sending the variable name with the values to my server. So again, this is DigitalOcean. This is away from all this stuff. This is my own little box. And so it's able to pull that in. So it can pull it in and then dump it into a database, deal with your CRM solution or whatever else. Basically, we go and we take a look at ElevenLabs. What happens with this is we have this agent, right? So how can I help you? The normal stuff. Where we go for this one is we now go to tools and we see this email hook, right? So basically in order to create a tool, you do add tool and you go through and you add a webhook tool. When you click on this, right? So it shows you what it is. So you give it a name, whatever name. You give it a description. So again, with this description, remember you're dealing with LLMs. So you want to describe what the hell this thing is supposed to do because that's how the LLM knows what to do with it, right? And then basically when we come down here, what we're going to be doing, so wait a minute, there's that. Okay, then since it's a webhook, I'm using get. So there's two methods, there's post and get. I'll be honest with you, post was failing for some reason. I didn't have enough time to figure out why, so I'm using the get method. But basically with this then, is all you do is you plug in the URL that you're gonna be pointing at, right? So whatever that URL is, I'm just going to crappyapp.com. Do remember for this, it does have to be HTTPS, so use Cloudflare or whatever else. Then basically what we do is we come down here, we have query parameters, and so then we add what we're looking for. So we have a data type of string. We're looking for the email. We want an email there. We're going to say it's required. So this is going to be the variable name is going to be email. We're going to say it's required. Basically description, email address, formatted like, because again, it's LLMs. I did start getting Fred AT, google.com. Like, so you got to, it's LLMs. So anyways, email address formatted like this. So the email, and I should get that kind of email address. Then the problem, again with this, we just take a look, string problem, and then what is the problem, right? And so those are the values that are gonna get sent. So it's basically, when you look at the get, that's gonna go, it would be crappyapp.com, essentially question mark, email equals whatever the email address is, and problem equals whatever the problem is, and that's gonna get sent to your server. We go over, take a look at the server. Where is my server? Yep, this is the Twilio app. And so it's all pretty simple, right? So 21 lines of code here. So again, this is why I like Bottle. I know a lot of other people don't use Bottle, but again, for educational purposes, it's just dirt simple. What's nice about Bottle is you can just run it from the script itself. So we take a look at this. We have Bottle. So Bottle, import run, route, post, and request. That's what we need. And then for the ticket number, since we're not actually hitting a database system, I'm just using a random int to just get a number, just to show you how it works. So we have route here. So this is called a decorator in the Python world. So basically, when you go to the root of crappyapp.com, it's going to send you to this index function. Method equals get or post. So it will allow get and post values to come in. So for the index function, if the request method equals get, right, email equals request.query.get email, so that's the variable name, and problem is problem, right? So those are the two variable names that are coming in from the LLM. And then here is where I'm just going to create that random ticket number. Else, right, email equals none, problem equals none, right? Print script triggered, so I know what's going on. Print email, print problem. And then message equals this for the ticket number, and we return the message. So these print values, that's what gets printed on the command line. When you're dealing with Bottle, the return is what gets printed on the web page, just so you know what's going on there. And then down here, run, this is just what actually runs the script itself. So that's basically what's required for that to work. What's cool here is we can add to this a little bit, because I realize this might be a little simple, especially for new people, just kind of visualize what's going on. So what I did here is I created an HTML log. So basically what's going to happen with this one is this is a little bit different. So if there's an email address coming in, we're going to open log.txt. We're going to append to it. Using HTML, we're going to write a line. We're going to do strong, the ticket number, close strong. Then we're going to do the email address. and then the P tag, we're going to do the problem. Basically, what's going to happen here is that's all going to get written to that file. And then if I go to the log page, basically what's simply going to happen is I'm going to open up that log file, and then I'm going to return that log file to show the additional logs, right? And again, this is just kind of simplifying what's going on. So let me go here, Control C. So Twilio, was it app 2? Okay, so app 2 is now working. So let me go and do this call again.
You have a trial account. You can remove this.
Hello, how can I help?
Yeah, I've got all kinds of viruses on my computer.
Oh no, that sounds really frustrating. Viruses can definitely cause a lot of trouble. To help you with this, I'll need to create a work order. Could you please provide me with your email address?
Tim@hotmail.com.
Thank you, Tim. I've created a work order for you, and your ticket number is 1408. We'll be in touch shortly with the next steps to help you get those viruses removed.
Cool, thank you. There we go. So now, as I showed you, it printed out on the screen before, and this is just a simple HTML page to show. So Tim called in, you had a cracked screen, Suzanne called in and had exploded battery, and Tim has all kinds of viruses on the computer, right? And again, this can keep just adding up. So let me just call this one more time. Nope, it didn't hang up. That's interesting, it didn't hang up. Let me call one more time.
You have a trial account.
Hello, how can I help?
Yeah, my computer's all crack-a-dog.
I understand that can be really frustrating. To help me create a work order for you, could you please describe what's happening with your computer in a bit more detail?
Yeah, pop-up windows are popping up, it's acting slow. It started calling me really mean names.
Thank you for clarifying. It sounds like your computer is experiencing a lot of pop-up windows, running slowly, and displaying unusual messages. That definitely indicates something isn't right, and we can help with that. To create a work order for you, could I please get your email address?
Yeah, it's frank@google.com.
Thank you, Frank.
Oops.
Could you please provide your full email address, including the domain? Thank you, Frank. So your email address is frank@google.com. I'm creating a work order for you now regarding your computer experiencing a lot of pop-up windows, running slowly, and displaying unusual messages. Thank you, Frank. I've created a work order for you. Your ticket number is 2662. Our team will reach out to you soon to help resolve the issue. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?
No, that's it. Yeah, I don't know what's not, should be hanging up, but anyway, it's not hanging up for some reason. So anyways, again, like imagine, again, you've got your own little system, so people can simply call in. Like this can be valuable too. So like when you're dealing with customers, like different customers have different expectations and different wants, right? So again, especially in the modern world, everybody's worried about AI. AI is gonna take jobs, boo-hoo. One of the interesting things is, whenever I travel, I always go to Sheetz. There's this gas station called Sheetz. I've been going to Sheetz for 25 years. I love Sheetz because about 24 years ago, they got the kiosks. So especially when you're on a long trip, you walk in, you go to the kiosk, you plug in what you want, you then go to the bathroom, you get your cup of coffee, you pay for everything, you grab your stuff and you go. It's absolutely fabulous, right? And again, that's my desire, right? I don't want to deal with a waitress. I don't want to deal with somebody behind the counter. I'm on a long road trip. I just want to pee, get my food and go, right? And so again, that's one of the things to think about with expectations. So if you're a B2C business, or if you have a client that's a B2C business, you have to be careful with artificial intelligence because again, there is a pushback on AI, right? Oh, you don't actually care about me. You're just in it for the money. Yes, but anyways, you're just in it for the money, right? You might get a pushback. On the other hand, again, imagine if I have a managed service provider company. And so imagine basically I have CEOs and I have businesses that are calling me for service. All they want to know is when the hell am I going to get there? They don't want friendly, they don't want nice, they want cheapest. So if I have this system, Like, and they know it's AI, and they know, look, I can just call in, it's gonna know who I am, it's gonna collect the information that's now in the system, right? And that's a way to be more efficient and actually get some value out of all this kind of stuff. So anyways, this is the kind of thing you can do. And again, the great stuff, the important thing to understand, especially if you're new in the technology world, is what's really difficult and what's really hard is turning multimedia values into text. Like turning my voice into text, I have no idea how to do it. I'm not gonna be that smart. Again, the OpenAI scientist, I'm never gonna be. Here's the thing, once you can turn it into text, then it's just a variable value. I can do all kinds of stuff with variable values. And so that's the important thing with this, is don't hyper-focus on just this crappy little web page. Just focus on the fact that we've turned this into variable values and can now start doing stuff with that. And so yeah, basically that is the class. The final thing on the last page is just for the Google phone number. What I will say is if you look down, it has a call screening for the telephone number. So basically when you call Google, if you don't turn off the call screening, it'll ask who's calling, and then you have to respond, and then it will let the call through. So just turn off, if you decide to use Google Voice, just turn off the call screening. And anyways, that is the class for tonight. Any questions? Oh, let me get more pictures. You don't get pictures of people. It didn't actually happen. Pictures. Pictures. There you go. There you go. Pictures. Pictures. There you go. No question? Oh, yep, Jim.
Are there competitors to ElevenLabs? Do you have other IA?
He was talking about some competitors.
Baby. Go high and level. Thinker.
Yeah.
Well, I've only looked at a couple of them. They are.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There's enterprise ones as well. I think Cisco has one too.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot. They get expensive as shit though.
Someone at work uses it, but she just uses it for the to mimic somebody else's voice.
Okay, yeah.
Not those people.
Yeah. Well, and that's going to be the thing too, is like with any of these, especially these AI services, what you have to be careful about is what's been kind of nice over the past 5 years is a lot of startups have finally like died. Like we've gone through the culling of startups. So like if you go back about 12 years ago, one of the big problems we had is all these startups would pop up, they would get all these customers, and then they would die. And so like that's one of the things to think about with the AI stuff. And again, it's going to be important with your customers or with your business, is it's literally going to be a bet. Like I'd rather spend a little bit more money on a company that I'm pretty sure is going to exist in 5 years than go cheap and all of a sudden they go out, because some of these companies like literally go out of business overnight and all of a sudden none of that works anymore. So that's something to consider, yeah. Oh, any other questions?
What's the average monthly what do providers charge besides the toll on those, but what's the average month, for the ElevenLabs charges?
Well, like I say, so I mean, I went with. Yeah, so they have. If you go to the prices, 11. Let's see, pricing. Where is it? Is it this? So agents. So Creator Pro. Creator Pro, yeah, so it's audio cloning and all that. So if you come down here, yeah, it kind of shows you. So Pro is $100 a month. So Creator, what I'm using is $22 a month. That gives you 250 minutes. Right. Yeah. So Pro is probably what a lot of businesses would need, and that's $100 a month for 1,100 minutes. So yeah. Any other questions? Cool. Yeah.
I'm fascinated with these, going back and forth between good AI content.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they hear an AI voice and oh, it has to be sloppy.
Oh, yeah.
And so Google was talking about some new doesn't matter what it was, but it happens to be some improvement to ElevenLabs.
Okay.
Learn things.
Yeah.
And this guy's talking about it, and he's talking about it, and then he says, oh, by the way, everything you've listened to or seen is completely AI.
Oh.
And we just wanted to show you that you could do a movie that's this high quality. And this is my voice, this is my script,
Yeah.
and this is my content. And it was excellent. But then, other types of people are saying, oh yeah, the gold standard, we're off the fiat currency.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of this is going to come down to just expectations management and also like allowing people to get out. So like the big problem that I had with my plumber, why I got really mad, is so they installed a very expensive water filter system for my house. And then there was a problem with it. They came back and they fixed it. But when they did, there was like a little leak, and I didn't catch the leak for about 2 weeks. So I had a little mold farm going on. And so I found this out on Sunday night. And so I call and I get their AI system. And honestly, again, I've had a service business. I get that you have to go home. So literally, if I had called in and they simply said, this is after hours, leave a message and we'll get back to you in the morning, I would have been completely fine with that. Instead, I got their AI whatever thing. And I kept saying, this is an emergency, because again, can you get to an operator or whatever else? And then I started just going into this weird cycle, right? And again, that's the kind of thing that you need to be thinking about, is like sometimes just telling people that you're closed, that might actually be a better solution than giving them the AI. Well, so yep, paper is your guys's, book is mine. Yep. Yeah. So yep, next class is the 25th. If you can afford the $1, you can come. And again, so the next class is, again, this bottle, the bottle web app framework. So I'll be teaching you guys how to use that. And then SQL. So again, you can start building some more complicated AI projects.
So next Saturday?
25th, whatever that is, yeah. Yeah, it'll be SQLite, yep.
I was listening to somebody.
Yep.